She was sipping coffee alone when he walked in, smiling, confident, and more than 30 years younger. What started as a friendly conversation would soon lead her into a web of lies, danger, and a truth too painful to ignore. The tiny cafe on 4th and Main had become Evelyn's second home ever since her husband passed away. After George died 2 years ago, nothing had felt the same. Their house felt too quiet. The laughter they once shared echoed now like ghosts in the walls. At 63, Evelyn wasn't just lonely, she was invisible. Her children had moved away, busy with their own families. Friends slowly drifted. Days blurred together. Her only comfort was her morning ritual, a cup of dark roast, a fresh scone, and a window seat where she could people-watch in silence. But that morning was different. She had barely touched her scone when the door chimed. A man walked in, tall, lean, tan skin, about 26 or 27 years old. He had a short beard, dark eyes, and an air of confidence that made heads turn. Evelyn watched him curiously, assuming he'd grab his coffee and leave like everyone else. Instead, after ordering a cappuccino, he looked around and made his way, straight to her table. "Excuse me," he said with a smile, "is this seat taken?" Evelyn blinked. No, it's not." He sat down across from her like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I'm Daniel," he said. "From Toronto. Just in town for work." "Evelyn," she replied, still unsure what to make of him. "What brings you here every morning?" he asked, sipping his coffee. She chuckled softly. "Habit, mostly. And peace." Daniel smiled. "Peace is rare these days." Their conversation started there, and didn't stop for 45 minutes. Evelyn hadn't talked to a stranger for that long in years. Daniel asked about her hobbies, her favorite artists, her favorite vacation spot. He listened. Really listened. The next morning, he was there again. "Morning, Evelyn," he said, sliding into the chair with a croissant. She laughed. "You again?" He grinned. "I liked our talk yesterday." From that day on, Daniel became a regular part of Evelyn's mornings. They spoke about everything: music, travel, memories. He told her about his job as a freelance digital consultant, said he loved moving from city to city, working from cafes, living free. He made her feel young again. "You're different," she told him once. "Most people your age wouldn't look twice at someone like me." He leaned forward. "Age doesn't mean anything to me. I care about energy. And yours, it's beautiful." By the third week, their bond deepened. They began meeting outside the cafe. Walks by the seawall. Lunches at small diners. He even came over one evening to help her fix her old laptop. He brought wine and jazz records. He told stories that made her laugh until her ribs hurt. Her face glowed. She wore makeup again. Brighter dresses. Neighbors noticed. Even her daughter, Emma, called one night sounding surprised. "You seem happy, Mom." "I am," Evelyn admitted. Emma paused. "What's his name?" Evelyn hesitated, then said, "Daniel." "How old is he?" Evelyn sighed. "Does it matter?" Emma didn't argue, but she warned her. "Just be careful, okay?" But Evelyn didn't feel afraid. Daniel was thoughtful. He never asked for anything. He even bought her a vintage paintbrush set after hearing she used to love painting. "Paint something for me," he said. "I want to see the world through your eyes." Then, one afternoon, over lunch, he mentioned it casually. "I'm in a bit of a tight spot with a client. Shipment delay. I'll be fine, just stuck for a few days." Evelyn tilted her head. "Do you need help?" He shook his head, smiling. No. You're sweet for asking. I'll figure it out." She admired his independence. But something about his tone felt rehearsed. Still, he didn't ask for money. He changed the topic and kept the charm going. 2 days later, he surprised her with a weekend getaway. To Whistler, he said. Just us. You need to get out of this city for a while. He paid for everything, gas, hotel, dinner, even a hand-knitted scarf she admired in a gift shop window. She felt special again. Beautiful. Wanted. That night, while Daniel was in the shower, Evelyn noticed his wallet lying on the table. It was half open. Out of habit, she reached to tidy it, and saw something odd. 3 credit cards. But they had different names. One said, Daniel Carter. Another, Diego Reyes. The third, Clara Martin. Her heart skipped. Why would he carry cards with different names? She put the wallet back quickly and said nothing. Later that night, Daniel wrapped his arms around her. You're the best thing to happen to me in years, he whispered. She tried to smile, but her thoughts spun. Who is he, really? Back in Vancouver, Evelyn grew quiet. Her instincts stirred. She tried to brush them away. She Googled his name, Daniel Carter, digital consultant Toronto. Nothing. No LinkedIn. No business site. Not even a photo. One night, curiosity won. While Daniel was in the shower again, she picked up his phone. The screen was unlocked. What she found made her breath catch. There were messages. Hundreds of them. Women. Older women. One said, I wired the money. Why haven't you called? Another, I told my son about us. You promised me a future. A third one, newer, said, if you don't answer, I'm going to the police. Evelyn stared at the screen. Hands trembling. Daniel came out of the bathroom. He saw the phone in her hand. His expression didn't change. You went through my phone? He asked, voice low and flat. I needed to know, she said. Who are you, really? For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he gave a small smile, but it was cold. Empty. You weren't supposed to find out like this. Evelyn backed away. What are you talking about? Daniel stepped closer. You think I was using you? She nodded, tears forming. Weren't you? He shrugged. You gave me hope. For a moment, I thought maybe this time it would be different. Different how? She asked. Daniel's smile widened, darkly. You'll see. Evelyn kicked him out that night. He didn't argue. He left without a word, without a fight. She thought it was over. She thought she was safe. Until, 2 days later, her bank called. Someone had attempted to open a joint account under her name. With a forged signature. And her identity was being used to apply for a $30,000 loan. The address? An apartment in Daniel's name, Daniel Carter, which didn't even exist. She felt the floor beneath her vanish. She called his number. Disconnected. She searched his email. Gone. The cafe? He never returned. She called Emma. They went to the police. But with no real name, no ID, no official relationship, they couldn't do much. You have to be more careful, ma'am, the officer said. Evelyn felt like screaming. Like breaking. Like vanishing. She wasn't just heartbroken. She was violated. Used. Played. That night, her doorbell rang. It was past midnight. She peeked through the peephole. Daniel. Standing in the rain. Soaked. Smiling. Evelyn discovered Daniel wasn't who he claimed to be. After uncovering messages from other women and financial fraud attempts in her name, she kicked him out. But 2 nights later, he returned, in the rain, holding a key to her house she never gave him. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. He was out there, smiling in the rain, holding a key. Her house key. But that was impossible. She had changed the locks just 2 days ago, after the police report, after everything. Emma had helped her pick a new locksmith. The receipt still sat on the kitchen counter. How could he have a key? She stepped back from the door, heart hammering. Daniel stared into the peephole, unmoving. He didn't knock. Didn't speak. He just smiled. As if he knew she was watching. Then, slowly, he inserted the key into the lock. Click. Evelyn gasped. Her knees buckled. The lock turned. She grabbed her phone and ran toward the back of the house. 911, what's your emergency? There's a man trying to enter my house, he has a key. He's not supposed to have it. Ma'am, is he inside? No, not yet, but he's unlocking the door. Can you exit the house safely? I'm trying. The dispatcher guided her as she slipped out the back patio, heart thudding against her ribs. Rain pounded the concrete. Her slippers soaked instantly. Sirens were minutes away. But every second felt like a year. She ran to her neighbor's house, Mr. and Mrs. Porter, an elderly couple who had known her since the kids were little. Mr. Porter opened the door, shocked to see Evelyn shaking, drenched. She stepped inside, breathless. He's back. He tried to get in. The police arrived 5 minutes later. By then, Daniel was gone. No footprints. No car. Just an unlocked front door and a trail of rainwater on the welcome mat. The officer examined the lock. This isn't forced. Someone had a key. I changed it, Evelyn insisted. 3 days ago. Are you sure the locksmith didn't make extra copies? Or, did anyone else have access? No, she said firmly. Only me and my daughter. The officer looked unconvinced. I'll make a report, he said. But without a break-in or a direct threat, there's not much we can do. Evelyn stared at him in disbelief. He was standing on my porch with a key that shouldn't exist. We'll increase patrols in your area, ma'am. But change the locks again. And this time, consider a security camera. The next morning, Evelyn didn't go to the cafe. She didn't go anywhere. Emma arrived with groceries and stayed for hours. She installed a smart lock and set up 2 small security cameras, one for the porch and one for the hallway inside. From now on, don't answer the door unless you check the camera first, she said. If he comes back, we'll have footage. Evelyn nodded, but sleep never came that night. She kept staring at the door, expecting the knob to turn. A week passed. No sign of Daniel. No calls. No messages. Silence. But silence was worse than noise. It was the quiet before a storm. Then came the letter. Plain white envelope. No return address. Delivered by hand, not post. Inside was a single piece of paper. In neat, handwritten print. You should have trusted me. I gave you my heart. Now I'll take what's mine. No name. No signature. Just that. Evelyn's fingers shook. She felt the familiar tightness in her chest. Like grief, but colder. This wasn't heartbreak, it was threat. She took the letter to the police. They logged it but again said, unless he harms you, it's not enough to act. Emma was furious. He could be dangerous. What are they waiting for? We'll hire private security, Evelyn said. But Emma had a better idea. My friend Maya works in cybercrime. She knows someone who helps track con artists, people like Daniel. Within 3 days, a man named Colin Reyes contacted them. He was a private investigator in his late 40s. Quiet, sharp, calm. He met Evelyn at a small diner near the harbor. "I've seen men like Daniel before," Colin said, flipping through his notes. "Handsome. Charming. Usually uses multiple names. Targets widows, divorcees, even young professionals with money. He's a professional manipulator." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were printed screenshots of 2 other women, a 58-year-old woman in Montreal and a 45-year-old woman in Seattle. Both scammed by a man who looked exactly like Daniel. Different names, same face. "He's been reported before," Colin continued, "but he never stays in one city for long. His trail always vanishes before legal action can catch him." Evelyn's hands clenched. "What does he want now?" Colin's face darkened. "Sometimes, when con artists feel exposed, they disappear. But sometimes, they try one last move. Retaliation. Revenge. Or a bigger scam." "Like what?" "Like taking your home, your identity, or your savings." Evelyn swallowed hard. "I already told the bank." "Keep an eye on everything," he warned. "Bank accounts, credit, title deeds, even health insurance. He may already be trying." That night, Evelyn sat by her fireplace, flipping through old photo albums. One photo caught her eye. It was from 3 weeks ago, Daniel and her, laughing at a street food festival. He had his arm around her. He looked at the camera like he belonged there. And for a moment, she had believed it. How did I let this happen? Then she noticed something else, his ring. She zoomed in. A silver band with a tiny, barely visible emblem. An owl. She didn't remember seeing it on him before. Curious, she Googled it. Turns out, it was a symbol used by a secretive online community of relationship investors, dark forums where men traded methods on how to emotionally manipulate women for money. They even had ranks. Daniel, if that was his real name, was part of it. The next day, her front door was open. She froze. It wasn't broken, just ajar. The house was quiet. She stepped in carefully, holding her breath. Nothing seemed disturbed, except the living room. A single rose lay on the coffee table. Next to it was a note. "I still love you. But you need to understand, this story isn't over." Evelyn backed out of the house, trembling, and called Emma and the police. They searched the place. No sign of forced entry. No fingerprints. No leads. Colin came over that evening. "This is escalating," he said. Evelyn nodded. "I don't understand. Why not just vanish? Why keep coming back?" "Because he's obsessed. You were probably his most successful connection, emotionally. And maybe financially. But I never gave him money. Doesn't mean he didn't take something." That night, Colin ran a deep identity scan using data Evelyn provided, names, emails, phrases from messages. Hours later, he had something. A possible real name. Darren Crosswell. Age, 28. From Ottawa. Arrested twice, fraud and impersonation. Charges dropped both times. No fixed address. He uses prepaid phones and rental cars, Colin said. He's smart. But not perfect. Then something odd happened. Emma called, breathless. "Mom, someone just tried to use your Medicare number at a hospital in Alberta." Evelyn's eyes widened. "He's pretending to be me now?" "No," Colin said quietly. "He's setting you up. After discovering Daniel's real name was possibly Darren Croswell, Evelyn learned she wasn't the first woman he had manipulated, and likely not the last. But just as she tried to protect herself, she was shocked to find the police at her door with a warrant for her arrest, accusing her of fraud and identity theft. 2 officers stood on her porch in crisp uniforms, their expressions unreadable. The taller one, Officer Grant, held a folded sheet of paper in a plastic cover. "We're here to search the premises," he said. "We've received multiple complaints of financial fraud linked to your identity." Evelyn stared, speechless. "Fraud? But I'm the victim here." The second officer, a woman named Patel, added gently, "Ma'am, we understand this may be a misunderstanding. But we need to proceed. Do you live here alone?" Evelyn nodded numbly. "Yes. My daughter visits sometimes, but I've done nothing wrong. Please step aside." She moved away from the doorway as the officers stepped in and began scanning the living room. They opened drawers, checked behind paintings, took photos of her mail pile, her prescription bottles, her laptop. Patel turned to Evelyn. "Did you recently apply for a $30,000 loan through an online lender called Global Prime?" Evelyn shook her head. "No. I found out someone tried using my name, I reported it." Grant stepped forward. "Did you recently travel to Calgary?" "What? No." He raised an eyebrow. "A woman matching your description used your ID number at a hospital there, 2 days ago. She gave your birth date, address, even your daughter's name as her emergency contact." Evelyn's knees buckled slightly. She gripped the edge of the table for support. "That wasn't me," she whispered. "It was him. Daniel, or Darren, whatever his name is. He's using my identity." "Do you have proof?" Grant asked. I have a private investigator. He found other victims. I even got letters, he showed up at my door. He had a key." Patel gently touched her arm. "Ma'am, you'll have a chance to tell your side. But right now, we're going to confiscate your laptop and phone." They left an hour later with 2 evidence bags and a warning. "Don't leave the city." Evelyn sat on the couch in a daze. The rain had started again outside, soft at first, then louder, heavier, like the sky itself was mourning. She called Emma. Her daughter arrived within 20 minutes, pale and furious. "This is insane," Emma said. "They're treating you like a criminal." "They think I'm lying," Evelyn said quietly. "Like I made him up. We need Colin." Colin came that evening. After hearing what happened, he didn't waste time. "We're past the point of playing defense," he said. "It's time we dig." He pulled out his laptop and a portable hard drive. "I backed up Darren's trail last week. He's been smart, he uses alias accounts, deletes texts, swaps SIM cards, but I found patterns. Hotel stays under fake names. Online purchases with drop-shipped addresses. And Evelyn, I think he left you one last breadcrumb." He opened a map with digital pins. This address showed up in an invoice tied to the same email Darren, used when he booked that weekend in Whistler with you. It was a storage unit on the industrial edge of town. "Could be nothing," Colin said. "But we should check." The next morning, Evelyn, Colin, and Emma drove to the address. The storage facility was cold, gray, and almost empty. A board attendant checked their ID and gave access to unit number 27. Colin used a bolt cutter. The lock snapped. They opened the metal door. At first glance, it looked empty. Then, in the far corner, covered by a tarp, a single black suitcase. Colin opened it carefully. Inside were dozens of documents. Fake passports. ID cards. SIM cards. USB drives. A small notebook with handwritten names, dates, and dollar amounts, some in red ink, some in black. Emma gasped. "Mom, that's your name." Evelyn leaned in. Her name was written under a heading, Target 9, full run complete. Under it were lines. $6,400 jewelry. $2,150 reimbursement gift. $1,900 hotel weekend. Mortgage attempt, failed. Loan fraud, pending. Then beneath it, in tiny print. Emotional attachment stronger than expected. Monitor carefully. Evelyn's hand flew to her mouth. He had written about her like she was a job. A mark. A task. Colin opened one of the USB drives. It contained a folder named Win Project. Inside, photos. Dozens. Screenshots of text messages, selfies, scanned documents. Photos of Evelyn's home. Her driver's license. Her emails. Emma looked like she might throw up. He watched you like a science experiment. Colin zipped the bag shut. We need to get this to the police. It's undeniable proof now. They drove straight to the station. An officer took the evidence to review, promising an official response in 48 hours. 2 days passed. Evelyn barely slept. Her stomach hurt constantly. Her chest felt heavy, like grief, but sharper. When the police finally called, it wasn't to apologize. It was to say, "We've reviewed the evidence. It's helpful. But we still can't confirm who used your identity in Alberta." Evelyn snapped. He documented everything. He wrote notes like I was a victim. What else do you need, blood? The officer hesitated. We're doing what we can. But without his real name confirmed, and with no photos of him committing fraud, it's circumstantial. And the storage unit? He didn't lease it under your name or his. It's technically unlinked. She hung up. I'm being erased, she whispered to Emma. He's taking my life away piece by piece. That evening, Evelyn logged into her email. Or tried to. Password incorrect. She tried again. Still wrong. She clicked Forgot Password and followed the recovery steps. The recovery number had been changed. So had the backup email. She sat frozen. He had taken her email account, the one linked to her online banking, medical records, and tax portal. She raced to call her bank, but her voice verification failed. He changed everything, she cried. Emma held her as she shook. That night, Colin returned with news. I think I know where he is. He pulled up a traffic cam photo from earlier that day, Darren, or Daniel, standing outside a hotel in Burnaby. It was grainy but clear enough to recognize him. Colin made some calls, tapped a contact who worked in hotel security. Within an hour, they had the room number. Room 408. Booked under the name Reed Douglas. We go now, Evelyn said. Emma grabbed her coat. Colin paused. Are you sure? If we corner him, we might spook him. Or worse. I need to look him in the eye. They reached the hotel just after 9 p.m. Colin convinced the manager to give access under the premise of assisting an ongoing private investigation. They reached the 4th floor quietly. Room 408 was at the end of the hall. Colin raised his hand and knocked. Silence. Then movement. A shadow shifted behind the peephole. Colin knocked again. Darren. Or Daniel. Or whatever name you're using now. We know everything. We have your files. Your notes. Your photos. Come out. A pause. Then the door unlocked. He stood there. Same smile. Same calm eyes. No fear. "Evelyn," he said softly, "I missed you." She didn't speak. She couldn't. She was staring at the man who almost stole her identity, her heart, her life. "Why?" she asked finally. "Why me?" He tilted his head. "Because you made it easy." Evelyn, along with her daughter Emma and the investigator Colin, confronted Daniel, real name possibly Darren, at a hotel. Instead of denying anything, he calmly handed Evelyn a flash drive and told her it had everything. But he warned. "It comes with a price. You'll know by morning." Evelyn stared at the tiny black flash drive in her hand. It looked so normal. Ordinary. Like something you'd keep in your purse with old photos or tax files. But in that moment, it felt heavier than gold. Heavier than truth. Daniel, or Darren, stood there, calm, as if he'd just given her a wrapped birthday gift. Evelyn wanted to scream. Throw the drive in his face. Call the police and have him arrested. But instead, she whispered, "What's on this?" He smiled again. That same cold smile she once mistook for charm. "Everything. You asked for the truth. You'll get it." Then he turned and stepped back into the room, closing the door softly behind him. Back at home, Evelyn sat at the kitchen table. Colin connected the flash drive to his secure laptop. "I'll scan for viruses first," he said. "Could be a trap." Emma paced behind him, arms crossed. "This whole thing is a trap." The antivirus scan completed. No immediate threats. Inside the drive were 3 folders. Victims. Projects. Confession. Colin opened Confession first. It contained a single video file titled Play Me. They watched. The screen showed Daniel, sitting in what looked like a motel room. He wore the same black hoodie he'd worn on their first picnic. Evelyn felt her throat tighten. He leaned into the camera. "Hello, Evelyn," he said. "Or maybe you've already shown this to the cops. Either way, you wanted the truth." He smiled. This one was sadder. Slower. "My name isn't Daniel Hayes. It's not Darren Croswell either. Those are just tools." He took a breath. "I was born Richard Dorian. Grew up in group homes. No family. No second chances. People like you. Widows with savings, loneliness, and a good heart, you were my escape route." He looked down, then back at the camera. "I never meant to fall for anyone. But you." Evelyn's heart jumped. "You were different." He chuckled bitterly. "And that made it worse. Because when I realized I felt something for you, it was already too late. I'd already used your info. I'd already made you a target. And instead of stopping, I just kept going." His smile vanished. "Now you're in danger. Real danger. Not just from me, but from people who noticed I broke the rules." Colin paused the video. "What the hell does that mean?" Emma leaned over his shoulder. "Keep playing." He hit play again. Daniel's face was now more serious. "I wasn't working alone. I was part of something bigger. A network. They train people like me to charm, manipulate, and extract information. Money. Identities. It's organized fraud, like a quiet crime family, but spread across cities." He leaned in. "They don't like exposure. And when I didn't disappear like I was told, when I gave you this drive, they started watching." He tapped his temple. "They're watching now." The screen went black. Evelyn looked up. "Is this real? Or just more manipulation?" Colin opened the other folders. Inside, victims, were profiles. Dozens of them. Photos of middle-aged and older women, each marked with labels like Asset secured, compromised, burned, pending. One woman was circled in red, Evelyn Ross, compromised. Emma covered her mouth. "This is like a hit list," she said. Colin nodded grimly. "And it's detailed. Names, phone numbers, addresses, personal info. He wasn't just stealing identities. He was building files." Then Colin opened the final folder, Projects. It contained several spreadsheets. Dates, transactions, photos of bank wires, screenshots of emails between multiple fake identities. But one thing stood out. A tab labeled, Transfer Plan, Evelyn. Colin clicked. It was a detailed timeline. Phase 1, Emotional Bond, completed. Phase 2, Access to Residence, completed. Phase 3, Digital Takeover, completed. Phase 4, Impersonation, in progress. Phase 5, Relocation of Assets, delayed. Evelyn's voice trembled. "Relocation of assets, that's my money. My house." Colin zoomed in on the bottom note. "If Phase 5 fails, use emergency protocol. Frame subject. Initiate escape." Suddenly, the flash drive ejected itself. The screen went black. Colin cursed. It auto-wiped. It was booby-trapped. Emma stood frozen. "So we have nothing?" "No," Colin said. "We saved enough screenshots. But we need to act fast." He turned to Evelyn. He said, "They're watching. If he's telling the truth, we need to disappear before they come for you." An hour later, Evelyn and Emma packed bags. Colin arranged for them to move into a safe house he used for sensitive clients. It was out near the coast, disguised as a rental cottage. Evelyn felt like she was walking through fog. Her once peaceful life was gone. Her house, her garden, her memories, left behind like a crime scene. And still, one question burned in her chest. Why did he give her the flash drive? If he truly feared the people behind him, why risk helping her? The next morning, just before sunrise, Evelyn stood by the window of the safe house. The ocean was still. Cold mist curled around the rocks. She sipped tea and tried to quiet her mind. Then a knock at the door. Colin stepped in, phone in hand. "We found something." Another woman. Her name's Linda Gibbons. Retired teacher from Montreal. She disappeared 6 weeks ago. Her niece just posted a plea online. Her last known contact was someone named Reed Douglas. Same alias Daniel used. Evelyn blinked. She could still be alive? We don't know. But the niece got a package yesterday. He handed Evelyn his phone. A photo was open on the screen. It showed a letter. Typed. No return address. It read. Linda is alive. She was part of something bigger than she understood. Don't trust the authorities. Start looking at the people who pretend to help. Evelyn's stomach dropped. Is he warning her too? Colin nodded. Or someone else is. That afternoon, Colin got a call from a blocked number. He answered on speaker. A voice spoke, low, almost robotic. You've been warned. Evelyn doesn't walk away from this. You've seen too much. Leave now, or next time, it's not just her identity we erase. Then it hung up. Evelyn stepped back, pale. That wasn't Daniel. No, Colin said. That was someone else. Emma's voice shook. What do they want? Colin looked at Evelyn. They want her silent. Gone. Forgotten. But Evelyn didn't want to hide anymore. She took a deep breath. I want to speak out. On the record. Media. Public. If they want me erased, they'll have to do it out loud. Colin hesitated. That could be dangerous. So is silence. That evening, Evelyn sat in front of a journalist's camera. Emma held her hand off-screen. She told her story. From the charming younger man, to the identity theft, to the network hiding in plain sight. The journalist listened quietly. Then asked one final question. What would you say to Daniel, if he's watching this now? Evelyn looked into the lens. I loved you. I believed you. And even now, part of me wants to believe you handed me that flash drive because you still cared. She paused. But you didn't break me. I'm still here. The interview aired online the next day. By nightfall, it had 2 million views. And with that, the whispers began. Other women came forward. One from Seattle. One from Dublin. One from South Africa. They all said the same thing. He said his name was Daniel. Or Darren. Or Reed. He made them feel loved. And then, he vanished. Evelyn received a photo showing a tied-up woman, Linda Gibbons, a victim who had gone missing weeks ago. A chilling message was written on the back. You're not the only one who talks. She talked too. Now what, Evelyn? The warning was clear. Evelyn's fight for truth had made her a target. But now, someone else's life was at stake. And time was running out. Evelyn stared at the photo until her fingers went numb. Linda's eyes were barely open in the picture, swollen and tired, her mouth gagged, her hands bound with black tape. She was sitting in what looked like a dusty, broken-down apartment, maybe a basement. It was hard to tell. There were no windows. She turned the photo over again. The note repeated in her mind like a scream. Now what, Evelyn? She wasn't just in danger now. She was being tested. Colin arrived within an hour. Emma, too. No one said anything for a long while. They just stood in silence as the photo sat on the kitchen table like a loaded gun. Finally, Colin spoke. This is a game to them. Evelyn nodded. They want me to feel helpless. Or guilty, Emma added, her voice shaking. They know you'll want to save her. They're baiting you, Colin said. They want to draw you out. Evelyn looked at him, her voice steady. Then let them. Later that evening, Colin sat down with his laptop, trying to enhance the photo for clues. He zoomed in on details, the wallpaper behind Linda, a torn calendar, a flickering ceiling light. Emma helped. She searched missing persons forums for any connection between Linda's case and abandoned buildings. After hours of dead ends, Colin's eyes lit up. There, he pointed. In the corner of the photo, almost hidden in the background, was a logo, faint, spray-painted on the wall. It was faded red, circular. Emma squinted. What is that? Colin ran an image search. A few results came up. It's the mark of a property development firm from the 90s. They bought old buildings for cheap. Most of their projects were cancelled after a fraud scandal. The buildings were left abandoned. Evelyn leaned forward. So Linda's being held in one of those? Maybe, Colin said. Most of them were in old industrial areas. Warehouses, apartments, even nursing homes. He brought up a map. 3 properties within 50 miles have that logo on record. One is only 30 minutes away. A condemned building in Shorewood. Evelyn's voice was firm. Let's go. Colin tried to stop her. No. If you walk into that building, they could kill you. We don't even know who's inside. Emma agreed. Mom, please. This is too dangerous. We should call the police. But Evelyn shook her head. They'll never find her in time. This is personal now. I won't live with more blood on my hands. Colin hesitated. Then sighed. Fine. But we do this smart. That night, Evelyn, Colin, and Emma parked 2 blocks away from the abandoned Shorewood apartments. The building stood like a skeleton under the moonlight, empty windows, broken walls, graffiti covering every inch. They brought 2 flashlights, a small camera, and Colin's concealed weapon. He had military experience, though Evelyn had never asked too much about it before. They crept through the overgrown yard, avoiding broken glass and rusted fences. At the back of the building was a narrow door, slightly ajar. Someone's been here recently, Colin whispered. He went in first. Evelyn followed. The air was thick with dust. Each step echoed off the concrete. Inside, everything was silent. Except a sound. Muffled breathing. Colin motioned to stop. He raised his hand, signaling silence. Then, slowly, he led them down a hallway toward the sound. They reached a metal door. It was locked. But from inside, they heard it. A cough. A sob. A weak voice. Help. Evelyn's heart nearly stopped. It was Linda. Colin picked the lock in under 2 minutes. The door creaked open. Inside was a room no bigger than a closet. Linda was tied to a chair, just like in the photo, only now, she looked even worse. Her face was bruised, and her eyes filled with terror when the door opened. But when she saw Evelyn, her lips trembled. You came. Evelyn rushed in and pulled the tape from her mouth. Yes, she whispered. You're safe now. They untied her and helped her to her feet. Colin scanned the room. Let's move. Quickly. This was too easy. Emma waited outside the room with her phone, ready to call 911. They made it back to the stairwell when the trap finally sprung. A door slammed. Footsteps. Voices. Don't move, someone shouted from above. Colin pulled them behind a column. 2 men were coming down the stairs, dressed in black, wearing masks, carrying tasers. Back doors covered, one of them said into a walkie. Colin reached into his coat and raised his weapon. He looked at Evelyn. When I say go, run. Evelyn shook her head. I won't leave without Linda. You won't have to. Just trust me. Then Colin stepped out and shouted, Police. Drop your weapons. The 2 men hesitated. Long enough for Emma to call the cops and scream their location into the phone. Colin fired a warning shot into the ceiling. That was enough. The 2 masked men ran. 10 minutes later, sirens filled the street. The police arrested one of the men trying to escape through a drainage tunnel. The other vanished into the night. Linda was rushed to the hospital. She had a mild concussion, a fractured wrist, and symptoms of starvation, but she would survive. And Evelyn. She was a hero. The next morning, the story made headlines. Widow rescues kidnap victim after exposing international scam ring. The local news played Evelyn's earlier interview again, this time with updates about the arrests. Women from all over the country reached out, claiming similar stories. Several recognized Daniel's face. Some had emails, love letters, even voice recordings. Colin turned it all over to the FBI. But Evelyn couldn't relax. Not yet. She knew the masked men weren't working alone. And one question haunted her. Where was Daniel? 2 days later, while Emma helped Linda settle into a recovery center, Evelyn got a call from a blocked number. She answered, holding her breath. Daniel's voice came through, tired, soft, but familiar. You saved her, he said. I didn't think you would. Evelyn swallowed hard. Why send the photo if you didn't want me to come? Because I needed to know. If you still cared. Silence. Then he spoke again. They'll come for me next. I broke the rules. There's no going back. Then turn yourself in. Help take them down. He laughed bitterly. You think it's that easy? I'm not the hero in your story, Evelyn. I never was. He paused. But there's one more thing you need to know. About the network. About who's really behind it. What do you mean? Daniel whispered. The man funding all of it is someone you know. Then the line cut off. Evelyn stared at the phone. Someone she knew? Her chest tightened. Who? How? She looked at the documents Colin had printed from the drive earlier. She went through every file again. Then she saw it. A company name buried in the financial records, Stratwell and Ross Holdings. Her late husband's firm. The one she thought had shut down years ago after his death. Her hands trembled. Her husband's business partner, Richard Stratwell, was still active. Still powerful. And maybe, still dangerous. Evelyn rescued Linda Gibbons from a dangerous trap set by Daniel's criminal network. But just as things began to settle, Daniel called her one last time, revealing that the mastermind funding the entire scam was someone she once trusted, Richard Stratwell, her late husband's old business partner. A chilling message followed. If you go after Stratwell, you won't survive the week. Now, Evelyn must make her most dangerous decision yet, and risk everything for the truth. The morning after the email, Evelyn sat alone in the kitchen, staring at her coffee until it went cold. Richard Stratwell. She hadn't spoken to him in years. He'd sent flowers at Alan's funeral. Paid for the reception. Said kind words. After that, he vanished, like a man walking off stage after a final performance. She used to wonder why. Now, she knew. Emma entered the kitchen quietly, eyes still heavy from sleep. You're up early. I didn't sleep, Evelyn said. Emma poured herself tea. You're thinking about that message, aren't you? Evelyn nodded. It's him. Stratwell. The one behind everything. Daniel confirmed it. Emma looked stunned. But he's rich. Respected. On charity boards. So was Alan, Evelyn replied softly. We never know people the way we think we do. Colin entered, holding his phone. I just spoke with a contact at the FBI. Stratwell's name isn't new to them. He's been linked to shell companies in 5 countries, but nothing's ever stuck. Emma blinked. You think he's untouchable? Colin nodded. He has power. And protection. But he made one mistake, Evelyn said, standing up. Colin raised an eyebrow. What's that? He underestimated a widow with nothing to lose. That afternoon, Evelyn, Emma, and Colin met with FBI agent Leah Martinez. An intelligent, sharp-tongued woman who had been following the financial side of the scam ring for months. She reviewed Colin's documents, the flash drive, and listened carefully as Evelyn described Daniel's final call. Richard Stratwell, huh? Leah said, narrowing her eyes. I've wanted that man for a decade. But he's a ghost. The kind who walks through walls and leaves others behind to rot. Then let's stop him, Evelyn said. Leah paused. We'll need hard proof linking him directly to the trafficking and fraud operations. Testimonies help. But we need records. Emails. Calls. Money trails. Evelyn nodded slowly. Then I'll get it. Colin looked alarmed. Wait, what do you mean you'll get it? Stratwell runs a private retreat every June for investors and partners. It's invite only, and guarded. But I know the location, Alan took me there once. Emma's jaw dropped. You're not serious. Evelyn said, fire in her voice. Because this isn't just about me anymore. It's about every woman they lied to, hurt, disappeared. Leah hesitated, then said, if you're willing to wear a wire, and go in undercover, we can make it work. Colin stared at Evelyn. And she stared back. I'm not afraid, she said. 3 days later, Evelyn stood in front of a mirror in a high-end hotel room just outside Stratwell's estate grounds. She wore a sleek, elegant black dress, one she hadn't touched in years. Her hair was pinned. Her makeup, modest but sharp. She looked powerful. The FBI team had fitted her with a tiny mic, hidden in her earring. Colin had helped rehearse conversations with potential targets. Emma stayed close, monitoring from the surveillance van parked a mile away. At 7 p.m., Evelyn walked through the tall iron gates of the Stratwell estate. The party was already in full swing. The estate was grand, stone walkways, manicured lawns, and a massive fountain glistening in the evening light. Inside, waiters served champagne. Classical music floated through the air. And then she saw him. Richard Stratwell. Still handsome in an aging CEO kind of way. Silver hair, strong posture, surrounded by other men in suits. Evelyn stepped into view. His eyes landed on her. At first, confusion. Then, recognition. He smiled. Evelyn, he said, walking toward her with practiced charm. I wasn't expecting you. I figured it was time we caught up, she said. He handed her a glass of champagne. To old friends? She raised her glass, but didn't drink. Do you miss Alan? He asked. Every day. He smiled again, too knowingly. He trusted me with everything, you know. I know, she said coldly. Maybe too much. Richard's expression flickered. You're not here for nostalgia, are you? Evelyn leaned in slightly. No. I'm here for the truth. Richard's face changed. He set his glass down and took her arm, gently but firmly. Let's talk somewhere more private. He led her through a back hallway into a smaller lounge, dimly lit, with leather chairs and expensive bookshelves. The door closed behind them. Richard didn't sit. You've been asking questions. Digging where you shouldn't. That's dangerous. So is stealing lives, Evelyn replied. Richard stepped closer. You don't know what you're in the middle of. You think this is about scamming lonely women? That's just the surface. Then tell me what it's really about. He tilted his head. Why would I? Because I'm the only one still listening. He studied her for a long time. Then, he sat. And began to speak. He told her everything. How after Alan died, he used the company's leftover shell firms to fund offshore recruitment scams. How men like Daniel were trained to seduce vulnerable women and manipulate them into wiring money or worse, recruiting others. How victims who resisted were silenced, either scared into silence or made to disappear. You know why I'm still standing? Richard said. Because people don't suspect old friends. Or CEOs. They suspect monsters in alleyways. Not men in tuxedos. Evelyn stared at him, sickened. And Daniel? She asked. Was getting soft. I knew the moment he called you, he'd be a liability. He loved you more than he realized. You used him. I use everyone, Richard said. Including you. That was it. Everything the FBI needed. Evelyn stood. You may have power, Richard. But I have truth. And from the hidden van, Agent Leah whispered into her earpiece. We got it. Pull out now. But Richard noticed something in her eyes. His face turned. He lunged for her. Tried to rip the earring out. But Colin burst through the door, gun raised. "Step back," he shouted. Behind him, FBI agents swarmed in. Richard froze, then smiled coldly. "You think this ends with me?" "No," Evelyn said, walking toward him. "It starts with you." 1 week later, the story went global. Widow brings down billionaire crime network. Exclusive interview: how one woman exposed the elite's darkest secret. Dozens were arrested. More victims were found. The network collapsed like dominoes. Richard Stratwell was charged with fraud, conspiracy, kidnapping, and racketeering. Daniel's fate remained unknown, but rumors swirled that he was spotted crossing into Morocco under a false identity. Evelyn gave her testimony in court. Calm. Clear. Unshaken. 6 months later, Evelyn stood outside her garden, watering tulips as birds chirped overhead. Emma visited often now. Colin had moved nearby. Linda was back on her feet, working with a survivor network Evelyn helped fund. The world had changed. So had she. A journalist once asked her, "What made you fight back?" Evelyn's answer was simple. "Because truth matters. Even when no one believes it. Even when it costs you everything."